Hello, my name is Rory Houlihan. I ran for U.S. Senate last spring, 2016, to stop the ticking time bomb so I could put our economy on track for a bright new day. Instead of all things ending, now running for KYH 73 in 2018, but I still need to tell, so let me educate you on the ticking time bombs and give you the rest of the story, part 15. Thank God I'm free at last. My wife Terry just received a disturbing phone call the other night from an assistant store manager. Many of you know that right to work laws were passed in a special emergency session called by Governor Matt Bevin on a Saturday morning, January 7th, 2017, at 9 a.m. and passed by conservative Republicans, including our own Donna Mayfield, to which I'm running for her seat in Kentucky's House, and Ralph Alvarado in Kentucky's Senate. Uh, that day, they took every hardworking person's right to have a job. Could a bill that narrows anti discrimination rights to take your right to have a job be considered a con if it's called right to work? This wasn't good enough for conservatives. They next passed the very morning a law getting rid of the prevailing wage that sets wages high enough to pay for a 10-year veteran to be paid a fair wage for their expertise. With the lowest bidder winning government contracts, this meant that you had qualified people doing the work. Always lower prices, always worse and worse, always seems to be a conservative value. We know what happens to schools built by unqualified, lowest bidder builders. 100,000 children have died when those schools fell on them, i.e., China and Peru, losing an entire city's children population has a way of getting folks really angry, which forced similar prevailing wage reforms to make sure that folks building schools are competent and improved higher building standards there. You know that Donald Trump lowered building standards? Uh, do you believe that lower building standards and putting in incompetent labor is a ticking time bomb, considering the weather now's extreme weather events? This session, they are going after school teachers and other Kentucky government workers' retirement, completing the corporate grade walls. First, they take their rights, then they take your income, now they take your retirement, all big pots of money for the greedy. She was informed that her job was no longer an ADA, American with Disability Act compliant job. She would no longer have a job come March 19th. Since then, she was been informed that the last day will be April 13th, a bit better. My wife's knees are bad, and we were planning on having her operated on this year. The reason they are that way is that she fell off a ladder carrying down a heavy box, and her knee blew out. When I met her in the hospital emergency room, her entire leg was black and blue, and her knee was the size of a melon. We have pictures of it. She was crying and in pain. They didn't have to pay her disability for lost time because they had an ADA compliant job, door greeter, and she took it. She likes working, gets her out of the house, gets her to be able to see people. She could only stand on this leg for so long. So she put most of her weight on the other leg. Soon that leg was going out too. Because she has ADA exceptions. She will no longer be qualified for any jobs there, including door greeter. The new job title is hostess. The job description isn't quite right though. More like a friendly security person. A couple years ago, she was told that she was medically unfit for the job and was given a last day of a couple days before Christmas. Merry Christmas! Christmas holidays are very busy for me, and I didn't have time to find out what was going on. When I found out after the New Year's, I told her she was laid off and we needed to go down to the unemployment office and apply for unemployment for her. She didn't want to go. Stigma. But she finally caved in and we went. Soon she found out she wasn't the only one they had done this to, and unemployment filings were started for her. About 2 weeks later, they called up and said that they had changed their minds. We had received a notice that they were about to be sued for back wages and unemployment for my wife and a couple others. We were met by the store manager, and he and I believe the regional HR manager met us. We soon sat down, and they soon set down the terms of her coming back. No back pay, well, of course, and the same pay she had left. Good enough. Hours would be what she wanted. She couldn't work 8 hours any longer, so that was good. My wife took it. She all she wanted was her job. Today, she is being given two options: take a one time severance package and leave. The severance package would be roughly the numbers of years worked. Her anniversary is in May, so it is 12 years instead of 13, times her average last year's weekly pay, around $100. So she gets a large sum of $1,200. Severance. She wanted to print out the terms off of the computer for me to read over with her, and they wouldn't do it. A real bit red. It's a real big red flag for me. Or she could go to another post, but she can't have any ADA exemptions. And if she can't hack it there, she loses the severance pay. She is given a take it or leave it. But I know there's another option, and that is to work until the end. During the coming weeks, file an unemployment and receive unemployment. They are, in fact, firing her again. And it's not anything that is normally fireable. Now, if you feel that that is a bit dirty, join the ever expanding crowd of folks who have been hurt by our good Governor Matt Bevin and his conservative Congress, like good old Donna Mayfield passage of right to work. This whole new episode in my wife only reinforces my and my wife's resolve to remove and replace its conservative supporters, the Donna Mayfields. This whole episode only reinforces my resolve that we need to remove and replace conservative right to work laws off of Kentucky's law books and give back folks the rights they had to have a job. Because all my wife wanted was to have a job and maybe make it to 15 years so she could keep her discount card for life. She was willing to endure the pain and suffering all while she was doing her job. Folks, you can be retired two ways. You can get retired and be forced out of your job, or retire and leave your job on your terms. Over the past year, I met so many folks who got retired, and my wife will soon join you. I resolve to protect you and my wife. We are in this together, folks. As for my wife, she is looking at it as a bit of silver lining. With her job no longer on the line, there's nothing holding me back while I campaign. I can talk about this all I want. I am starting to understand LBJ's "I am free at last! I am free at last! Thank God I am free at last" statement. If you like what you hear, would you do me a favor and subscribe to my Rory for Us YouTube channel? You have a good and blessed day, folks. Bye.